I think it's kind of essential in Iowa to do these kinds of venues. The expectation that the candidates will go out and meet people, that they'll go out and see what life is like in these smaller communities. And there's a sense that that whole process is educational for both sides in a way, creating a sense of contact and understanding between these national politicians at the highest tier and, regular voters.
Republican presidential candidates are hitting classrooms, churches, and restaurants, trying to make a personal connection that will reel in votes in the Iowa caucuses. The Des Moines Register asked experts in communication and political science to analyze the candidates' campaign styles, a factor that could tip the scales in deciding which candidates will proceed on the road to the White House.
I hope it works. Hi, how are you?
If we use single words in a way to describe the Republican candidates over the course of the last 6 months to a year, for somebody like Perry during the debates, it became bumbler, perhaps. Paul, cranky or idiosyncratic. Romney, managerial. Gingrich, intellectual or arrogant, perhaps. Bachmann, really feisty. And for Santorum, you'd have to say intense.
And the idea that somehow or another that we don't give people government benefits, that we're being unfair to them, is absurd.
This would be kind of a hard room, I think, for a candidate to speak in, because it's not a very warm room, and so he's doing a pretty good job.
We have 7 children, and our eldest is only 20, and our youngest is 3.5.
And this is also something we're seeing a lot more with male candidates that reference to themselves as fathers. It's kind of a softening of the stereotypes that we hold about males.
When campaigns say we need your help, they really don't mean it. I do.
One thing that research shows is that candidates that are most successful in these kind of interpersonal venues use humor, they smile, they use eye contact, and so Santorum's doing all of that in this. I mean, that's something that, engages voters in Iowa.
Santorum is the candidate really who all along has been going by the conventional Iowa caucus playbook. You visit all 99 counties, you meet with small groups of people. That's always been the conventional playbook. The question is whether that will work this year for Rick Santorum.
Mitt Romney learned a lot from his last time here. This is the most casual I've ever seen him. He has jeans on and a plaid shirt. Iowans also want people that look a little bit like them.
It's good to be here with you today and to say hi to some friends in Dubuque. You guys were helpful for me last time around. I expect you're going to be helpful to me this time as well.
I mean, he has a good stage presence. He has a wonderful voice. He looks presidential. He really needs to take the opportunity to correct the other side of that in these stops. You can appear to be a very professional politician who's out of touch with average Americans.
I need you to get out. I need you to get out to that caucus. All right. Hi there. How are you? You going to be at the caucus?
Yes.
Wonderful.
Well, I think he is a little stiff. His smile is very practiced, but I mean, the upside is that, he is very experienced and polished.
He seems in some ways a very shy man, and this forces him to mix with complete strangers and be very personable. And he's got a lot of skepticism on the part of Republicans that he has to overcome. The problem for Gingrich is here he's mixing on a more personable, everyday basis.
This is quite a change in his political career in a lot of ways. It's different audiences that he has to appeal to. It's a different persona that he has to create for himself.
I think he has to push the interpersonal side.
Stay your course now. I appreciate it. People are catching on. People are going to be paying attention to you. You survived everything, all the crap in the beginning, so just keep it up. Be the man you are. All right. Take care.
Gingrich, for his part, comes across as someone who, again, maybe with people he doesn't know, is a little bit shy. Of course, he's attempting to be gregarious and not doing too bad a job of it, but he's in a more of a formal outfit, a jacket and tie or a suit and tie. People want to take pictures with him, so he might look at the person for a moment. He'll stop and have pose for the picture, look at the camera. He doesn't look back at the person, which is interesting.
The whole model of a Washington-based bureaucratic system is inherently backwards.
He has a very professorial style that I think is comfortable for him. With a professorial style, if you're not able to connect, is that suddenly you're in the ivory tower and your audience is here.
I do think he's trying to tone down his word choice. I don't get the sense that he's trying to appear less educated or less knowledgeable. He doesn't seem in his rhetorical style to be trying to appear folksy, or, you know, he's not doing the kind of good old boy appeals that Rick Perry is doing.
So when I talked about how are we going to get America back to work, I laid out three-pronged plan. The first one was in the energy side.
He's almost the opposite of Gingrich in that Gingrich, he actually touts his intellectualism. Perry really wants to be that common person, that of the people. And some people like that.
I'll suggest to you we've got to send an outsider to Washington, D.C. that is willing to stand up to all those special interests.
You know, a standard trope in American politics, particularly in Republican politics, is to run against Washington. And Rick Perry has made that the centerpiece of his campaign.
We're going to take Washington, D.C. back. When our founding fathers put this country together, it talked about creating a government by and for the people, not by and for the government.
In terms of connecting with people in these informal settings, he does well because, like I said, he's charismatic and, you know, likable for a certain segment of the population. He continues to draw on a kind of Texan persona versus an American persona. They don't have to be incompatible, but I think he emphasizes the sides of his persona that play very well in Texas that don't play as well elsewhere.
For a lot of college students, it's the first time they've gotten away from home. They're very concerned with being on their own and independent. And Paul's message of individual liberty really speaks to that in a way.
Please join me in welcoming Dr. Ron Paul.
It's a charismatic anti-charisma that you get from Paul. For Paul, it's really the message more than the messenger.
We have a war on our liberties at home. The Patriot Act took away our Fourth Amendment rights and partially our First Amendment rights.
He isn't as good a speaker as some of the other candidates, yet he comes across as warm. You know, I think, you know, in his case, his age helps him because he's grandfatherly and kind of a snappy dresser. You know, he dresses very formally.
But I think with Paul, there's the sense of, you know, he's there, but his mind is inside his libertarian philosophy. And he's meeting with people and he's smiling and everything. But Paul's interesting. It's sort of the charisma of anti-charisma.
I'd like to welcome to the platform at Grace Baptist Church, Mrs. Michelle Bachman.
We're about to look at Bachman here, and she's at a church where she's very much at home.
Good morning to you, and thank you for that wonderful welcome. This is the day that the Lord hath made. We will rejoice.
She does come across as very Midwestern. I mean, her vocal inflections, her accent, I can see that she's using that as a way to connect with the voters.
So I just want you to know there's a lot of Iowa blood in this girl. So,
you know, she says this message a lot. You know, it is a way for her to connect to the audience and to give those ties that seem to be important to Iowa voters. That, you know, again, she's one of them.
What's your name? Hello, Randy. Hi. Hello, Elizabeth. Good morning.
Yeah, she's got a great smile. You can see how Bachman was very successful running for state representative and U.S. representative. She seems very good at retail politics.
Oh, is that right? Oh. So who shall I make it out to? Frank.
I think in the end of the campaign, they're trying to close the deal, and some will be doing it by this retail politics, really focusing on this interpersonal aspect of the campaign. If they ask your vote, I think most Iowans are either like, you know, I'm still thinking about it, or if they say yes, I mean, it's probably a closed deal for a lot of them.
That is my promise to you. God bless you, and God bless this country.